Hey guys, real quick setup for this video. I have a whiteboard that I'm using, you can see it there, and it's kind of hard to see in the video, so I put a screenshot of it at the beginning and at the end of the pieces that I use for the whiteboard. My suggestion is that when that comes up right after this video, that you pause the video, take a screenshot of it, and keep referring back to it as I refer to it, and that will help you figure it out. What's up guys, it's Dave. Today we are talking about blogging. So this is a follow-up to the last time I broke out the whiteboard, in which I sort of put the blog in the center and then talked to you about all the different distribution methods, including email marketing, that I use to get the content that I'm creating on the blog out to everybody. So if you haven't seen that, probably want to watch that first. What I want to do is kind of do a series where I dive into that a little bit and really tackle each one of these things in succession. I got a lot of questions, more than anything else. I got a lot of questions about the blog. So I've got kind of these three things that I want to touch on, and then I'm going to do a screen flow, which basically means you can see my screen and get a look at sort of how this stuff lays out. And I think part of the reason people are hesitant to do this is they think it's super hard and that they have to know a lot of code in order to successfully run a website or a blog. I don't know any of that stuff, okay? So I don't use HTML coding very rarely, and the only exception is like when I'm embedding a video, and I'll kind of show you how to do that. So first things first, to answer some of the questions that don't require my screen. Website, blog, these are really interchangeable terms. A website, the way we're using them, a website could be a sales page, it could be an opt-in page, it could be a lot of different things. What we're really talking about is a blog, which is a place that we distribute content, okay? In this case, content targeted about Beachbody, and I'll talk a little bit about that when I get down here. But that's, when I use, if I say my website or my blog, I'm talking about the fitclubnetwork.com. It's all the same thing. And so don't get mixed up by the terminology. We're talking about the same thing. Let's talk a little bit about initial setup. This seems to be an area that a lot of people are hung up on. You want to get a WordPress.org website. So there are a couple of different WordPress sites that are available. One is a .org site. The other one is a .com site. What happens if you get a .com site is this, okay? So like my site is a WordPress.org website, which means you go to www.thefitclubnetwork.com, and that content on that website is hosted by a host, okay? And I pay for that. I had to pay a private developer to design that website for me. I'll talk about that. And then I have to pay somebody every month to host it for me, which means all the content that's on the website just resides on their server. I suppose you could go out and buy yourself a server, but for 10 to 20 bucks a month, depending on which service you go with, it's just way cheaper to pay somebody else. And then if something goes wrong, you've got somebody to fix it for you rather than trying to figure out how to maintain a web server. So that's the way I have it set up. If you had a WordPress.com site, to contrast those two things, or like a site with Blogger, okay, what your website ends up looking like is this. WordPress.com/ or sometimes they'll put a period here instead of a slash, Fit Club Network. What that really means is I don't own that content. Same thing with Blogger. It's like blogger.com period Fit Club Network or / Fit Club Network. And those websites are okay if you're looking for a really low entry point into a blog. That's fine. But the major drawback to that is that when you put your content on their servers and you're not paying for your own server, you don't really own the content. And if at any point they just decided, hey, we don't like people who are in the fitness industry, or we don't like, more likely, network marketers. They could just kick you off and everything that you've put here would just disappear. That would be bad, in my opinion. I've worked really hard to build my blog over the years, and the thought of losing all of my content just because some pencil pusher at some company decides they don't like network marketers is terrifying to me. So I have a WordPress.org blog that is hosted by, I actually have a different host than I've listed up here. I'm not including them. DreamHost is fine, Bluehost is fine. HostGator I thought was kind of okay. I had them for a while and I didn't really like them. These are options. Most hosting companies for what you're going to be dealing with are fine, okay? I use one called WP Engine, and I use it because it can handle a lot of bandwidth, and if I have a problem, I pick up the phone and a person answers the phone and helps me figure it out. It's very rare I have to do that, but for me, it's worthwhile to spend a little bit more. It's significantly more than these, which is why I'm not recommending it to you. Check out DreamHost, check out Bluehost, check out HostGator. There's a lot of other hosting services that are out there. They should be charging you in the $10 to $15 range per month in order to host your website. So if you're gonna do what I did, and you're gonna build a WordPress.org site from scratch, you need to hire a private developer. I'm currently talking to somebody who is helping me do a new website that I'm launching, to see if she's available to help you guys. I don't have that info yet, and I don't know what the cost is going to be yet, so I don't want to get into that, but there are a lot of WordPress developers out there. You should be able to get a WordPress website set up for something in the $200 to $600 range, depending on how complicated you want it. What's cool about WordPress is they have what they call themes. So if you look at my website, it looks really fancy and it looks really great. It's just a theme that somebody made up with this, if you go to the homepage, it's got that slider thing that goes across the top. Basically what I did was when I went to set it up, I hired somebody to do it. And he said, hey, go to this website and tell me which theme you like. And the original theme that I picked, I thought was great. And we had it for maybe 6 months. And then we sort of thought, gosh, it was kind of like black and orange, which I thought was like super insanity and cool, but it was dark and not inviting and not what we wanted. And so we just changed the theme. I didn't lose all the content. All the content just followed over and it just changed the way it looked. Okay, that's what's cool about WordPress. If you, just Google WordPress.org themes, you'll see all the different websites that come up. Your developer, whoever you hire to put your website together, will have a favorite website where they have a license to pull themes, and they'll tell you, hey, go to this place, pick the theme you like, and then I can customize it for you. If there's elements of it you really don't like, I can take those out. These are the people who have all the knowledge that you probably think you need in order to do this. You really don't. You just need somebody who does, and they are WordPress.org developers. They pay a fee to have that right, okay? The second option is practical social media. These blogs are very, very simple. This is another really low cost, low entry option that you can use. If you just Google practical social media, Tracy Morrow. If you don't know Tracy, she's one of our CAB members and a founding coach, and she worked a deal out with Steve McDonald, who owns Practical Social Media, and it's cheap. I mean, for for a little bit more than it would cost you to have your website hosted there, Practical Social Media will give you a plug-and-play website, okay, that he updates. So when P90X4 comes out, Steve McDonald will update the sales page for P90X4, so you don't have to do that. And I think it's somewhere in the $40 a month range. And along with that, you also get access to what he calls the Practical Social Media University, which is training on how to use your blog. It's also training on how to use every social network that I covered in that other video. And I think his training is good because it's basic, okay? He's not gonna give you the in-depth, here's it's like, how do you set up your account? How do I use this thing? What do I use it for? It's really good entry-level training, in my opinion, okay? So that is another option. If you don't want to deal with the expense of hiring a private developer, you end up with a WordPress.org website, which means you own it. which means the content is yours. You can use that to create content. The difference between the two is customizability. Essentially, this WordPress.org site, you can do whatever you want with it. I mean, I'm currently having one built for a new project I'm working on called Charge the Summit, which is sort of it's sort of a non-Beachbody version of who I am, with a lot of the different outdoor stuff that I do that just doesn't really fit on the Fit Club Network. The Fit Club Network is about Beachbody, and I'm trying to start a website that's more about me as a way to just have something to do and a way to communicate some of these things that, go on in my mind and things that I learn when I'm up in the mountains or surfing or whatever. I am doing it with a WordPress.org website because it's ultimately customizable. I can pick the theme that I like. I can say what I want on there. If you go and look at the Fit Club Network, we have like nutrition and recipes and gosh, I don't even know what else, fitness programs, different things along those lines. I can say here, I want a tab that says success. I want a tab that says goal setting. I want another one that talks about adventures in the woods or whatever. I've got ultimate customizability with this first option. Practical Social Media, their WordPress blogs are more of a sales page for Beachbody. I mean, that's really what you're getting with that, is a sales page for Beachbody, which reminds me of something so I don't forget. I'm going to talk about the store. I just realized I forgot to add that to my list of things to talk about. So that's really kind of the difference between those two. The other thing is the privately developed WordPress.org site is more expensive. And this is a really nice, cheap option if what you're looking for is to just get involved with this thing. I guess you could take the content and move it over. What's nice about this one is, again, when P90X4 comes out, it'll automatically be updated with the new P90X4 sales page. My website, I have to do that. I have to update it. So it's more work, there's more involved, but it's also more customizable, which to me is what I want. And when I set this up, this did not exist. So I don't really have an option at the time. This was the option, and that's the way that I went. And of course, we've just continued to run with our site over the years. All right, so that's kind of your initial setup. You're looking for a WordPress.org site that is independently hosted, okay, by either one of these guys, or you do a deal with Practical Social Media and Steve hosts your website, Practical Social Media hosts your website for you. But it's a WordPress.org site hosted. Now, how do you do? The other thing that is important is getting yourself a URL. For that, I use GoDaddy. You may not like GoDaddy. You may have some moral objection to their advertising or whatever. I use it because it is super, super easy. So it's very simple the way GoDaddy works. You go in, you buy your URL. Let's just say we're going to buy www.mysite.com. So you go, you buy this URL, then you go in GoDaddy. GoDaddy has great help, by the way, and they make this very easy. You go buy this URL from GoDaddy, and then you say, GoDaddy, I want you, every time somebody types this in, to send them up here to my host. And then you just give them some server information. Again, it's pretty straightforward. It's not super complicated. Your host will tell you what information you need to give to GoDaddy. Most of them have really easy to follow tutorials about how to link these two things together. But every time somebody types in mysite.com, it sends them, let's say it's HostGator, it sends them to HostGator. HostGator says, oh, okay, mysite.com, we know who that is. That's you, that's your WordPress site, here's the content. And that's how this stuff all kind of links together and the setup of it. It's really, really not that complicated, especially if you use a Practical Social Media. Same thing with GoDaddy with Practical Social Media. Instead of using one of these hosts, say you do a deal with Practical Social Media, you do the same thing. Every time somebody types in mysite.com, it sends them straight to Practical Social Media. It's just not like that complicated, really. All right. Next thing I want to talk about before I get into showing you my screen is search and this idea of Google authorship and SEO, which is kind of this this thing that I think it's way more attention is made way more complicated than it really needs to be. The first thing is you want people to find your website via search, okay? That's the easiest thing for you, right? If you can predict what search terms people are going to put in to Google, and then you have content that has value to it and has those keywords in it, then people are going to find you through search. And that's just easy. Okay, that doesn't even, then that whole other post where I had the whiteboard about, hey, you need to put your content here and put it here and put it here and put it here. If you can get at the top of search, then you don't need to worry about that stuff. People will find you. So let me give you an example of how that works. 21-day fix meal plan. I don't recommend that you try to keyword for this because you'd be competing with me, and we do really well for this particular search term. So this is what we call a keyword. It's multiple keywords, but that's the keyword. So if you were to search for that and find the post that's on our website, what you'll see is that throughout that post, and I'll show you how to do this in a minute, throughout that post, we use the phrase 21-day fix meal plan. That exact phrase. Now, why? Because that's what people are typing into Google. We just sat down, and I've done this with 100, probably 1,000 different terms, right? Some of them, people don't ever type that into Google, and you just miss. But people started typing this one into Google. And so, as people started finding this page through search, we enhanced the page. We said, wow, a lot of people are coming to this page. Well, what do we have on that page? And initially the answer was not a whole hell of a lot. We had Monica was going to a seminar, and we had her packing up her little cooler to take with her. That's not great content. So but that page, people were finding that page. So I just changed it. We just added more. We said, Monica, look, sit down and really put together a 21-day fix meal plan. Let's do it. And we did, and we added a lot of content to that page, and then I also ended up adding an email collector to that page as well. You can go and look at it. Go check it out. Just search 21-day fix meal plan. If our site doesn't come up, add the Fit Club Network to that search, and you'll find that page. Okay, so let's talk a little bit as far as search goes. Two key things, assuming we're trying to get Google search. You could do this for Bing. You could do this for Yahoo. Those two search engines in particular are becoming more prominent. A lot of browsers now, because of Google, because they're trying to fight Google basically, are defaulting to Yahoo or Bing. Okay, so you can do Yahoo or Bing. I'm a big fan of Google because I use Google and I believe it's the best one. Google authorship. You set that up with your Google Plus account. It's really pretty simple to do. Okay, I want you, if you have a website or you're setting one up or a blog, make sure you set up authorship. Super, super important that Google recognizes that you own mysite.com and that the content that gets put up there is yours, and it connects it to you, and it starts to look at, well, what's on mysite.com? What's there? And do people like that site, or is it a bunch of garbage? When people go to mysite.com, do they get there right away and go, this is lame, I don't want any piece of this website, I'm gonna go away from it? If so, it's gonna say, well, mysite.com probably doesn't have anything good on it. But if people go to mysite.com and they spend a lot of time there and they start looking at multiple pages and they start reading your content and playing the videos that you have embedded on those sites, at that point, Google and the authorship program looks at you and goes, well, you got something good there. We should probably show more people your content. That's done with authorship. This is a very important aspect of search, okay? The other thing is SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization. What it basically means is that you have made your website easy to find and easy for Google to read, and you've got keywords that people are searching for, okay? So, really important to understand this. One of the reasons you want a WordPress.org website and not one of these other websites that, you can put together in like 10 minutes, like they're a Lego program or something, is because Google loves WordPress. So Google has this thing called a spider, which is like this thing that crawls all over the web. And when it hits mysite.com, it crawls all over it and it says, what's here? If it finds a bunch of dead links or pages that don't exist anymore, it goes, there's a bunch of garbage here. We're not going to rank that site. But if it crawls over your site and says, wow, more and more people are searching for this 21-day fixed meal plan thing. This guy has a page with 21-day meal plan, fixed meal plan, and people who come here regularly stay here. They like the content. They're sharing the content in particular, watching videos, etc., etc. Great. Next time somebody searches for that, we're going to move you up. We'll move you up. And slowly but surely they move you up, move you up, move you up. And if you're lucky, you get to the top of search, like the top 4 or 5 people, 4 or 5 sites that come up when people search for 21-day fixed meal plan. So, or, whatever the site is, whatever it is you're customizing it for. I'm telling you, don't use this. This is an example. Like, please, I think sometimes I say things and people take them way too literally and say, I'm telling you to go and keyword for 21-day fixed meal plan. No, if Body Beast is your thing, you need to figure out what people are searching for Body Beast, okay? What are people searching for Body Beast? Is it, like I have one that does pretty well. It's Body Beast Calorie Calculator. I just made a Google spreadsheet that has the calorie calculator and then shot a video with how to use it. And people are searching for Body Beast Calorie Calculator, and a lot of them find us and find our website. It's just one of those things. So when it comes to SEO, make your life easy. I'm going to show you when we get into my WordPress back office plugins. Plugins are like add-ons for your website. The one I use for SEO is called Yoast. Sorry, I'm going to go get that really quickly. All right, sorry about that, Lee. I'll get back to you later. Yoast is the plugin that I use for this. And what you do is, if this is the search term that you think, people are really going to be looking for that, or whatever your search term is, you put it in Yoast, and Yoast tells you, you've done a good job here and here and here, but you really missed the mark here and here and here. And it just ranks that page and says, for this search term, you're either good to go or you're not. And if you're not, here's what you got to fix. I will show you how that works when we get there. Okay. This is an area where a lot of people have questions. And what I'm mainly going to tell you is this stuff figures itself out. When it comes to posts, the questions I got were how often to post, what to talk about, whether we should have comments, and how to link to the store. Okay? How often to post? As often as possible. It's really hard to post too frequently on your blog. I try for at least 1 blog post a week. That's just what I set as my minimum bar. The point is, if I have something to talk about, I'm going to talk about it. And I'm not going to worry that it's, oh my gosh, I've already got 2 blog posts this week. I don't care. Content is content. When things go up on this blog and they get spat out to all those different social media outlets I covered in the other video, that helps me. So content's content. If you've got good content, keep putting up content. Don't worry about frequency. It's not like an email list where, people are going to unsubscribe to your email list because you're mailing them 4 or 5 times a week. It's not like that. This is a different animal here, so don't worry about frequency. As far as topics, I'll tell you what I did. And what I did with our website, basically, it's a little more complicated than that. But I just created an FAQ. That's what I did. I mean, what would happen for me was I'd get somebody asking me, should I be taking recovery formula? And I would get that question over and over and over again. And I just created a blog post to answer that question, okay? What questions are you asked over and over again? Every time somebody asks you a question, it's an opportunity for you to create a blog post. So that's what I would do. Somebody would ask me, one another question I used to get a lot and still get a lot is I'm gaining weight early in the workout. I've been doing this workout for a week and a half, and gosh, I've gained 2 or 3 pounds. And people freak out, understandably, because they don't understand that their body is just retaining water or whatever's happening. There's a couple different reasons why that would happen. I just answered that question. Then the next time somebody asked me that question, so let's say somebody asked me that question, I would go write a blog post and I'd then respond to them and say, hey, you know what, great question. I just wrote a blog post on that, here it is. The next time somebody asks me that same question, hey, great question. You know what, a while back I wrote a blog post on that, and here it is. What that does for me is not only do I have content that people can find via search, because if people are asking you that question, they're also searching for it on Google. This is a good way to figure out what your content is. It also establishes you as an expert. If you're like, if the response you get from somebody is, hey, actually, yeah, great question. I actually have a blog post on that. It's all ready to go. Here it is. You can respond like that. it's very little work that you have to do. And the person getting that response goes, man, this person knows what they talk about. They're predicting my questions. What a genius. They must be an expert in this field. And that's how you establish yourself with your customers, as somebody where they start with your website. That's what you really want them to do, right? I want my customers, first place you go looking for anything is thefitclubnetwork.com. If you don't find it, you message me and I'll create it for you. And that's the way we built our website, was with an FAQ. Along the way, I started to get good at predicting people's questions. I started to recognize the content that people were really liking and what they wanted to hear about. Things like motivation, for example, is one of the things I talk about a lot. Why? Because when I ask people, what do you want to see on my website, which is the other way you can get ideas for content, that's what they talk about, is how to stay motivated. So I talk about that stuff a lot, and that content makes it up on our blog. So that's another thing you can do, is just ask people. Ask. That's what I'm doing right now with this new website, Charge the Summit, is I'm asking people, hey, I want your feedback. What do you want to see? Maybe you're not into surfing and skiing and all that stuff, but you want to learn how to succeed in business. I've done pretty well, and I can pass on a lot of that stuff to you. What do you want to see? And I'm compiling a list. Darren O'Lean just launched superlife.com. It's exactly what he did. Everybody who came to that, he said, hey, my new website, yay, it's so cool. Go there, check it out. When you got there, there was really no content. All it was, hey, would you enter your email address and I'll let you know when the site comes live? And what you got back was a survey via email. You got a survey, and the survey was like, what do you want to hear about? What did that do? It gave him a list of content, potential ideas for blog posts, okay? That's another thing you can do, is ask. This is where you get the topics though, okay? Topics are key. You've got to have good content. If what you think you want to do, and I should have said this earlier, but if what you think you want to do is slap up a website and put a P90X3 page up and have everybody on Google find your P90X3 page, you're crazy. It's not going to happen, because you're competing with Beachbody and all their marketing machine, and they're going to be at the very top of search, and you're competing with all the other coaches who are doing the same exact thing. That's not how this works. How this works is you need to answer people's questions, and you need to have content that is helpful for people. Whatever that is that your people need, you need to create it, and you need to get it up here, and then you need to SEO it so that Google search will find you. And then what happens is you get people who come here to learn about the 21-day fixed meal plan, and they start poking around on your site, and they realize, oh my gosh, I might be a coach, and I might just be a coach with this person. That's really how this works. One of the things that I think is really lost in all this stuff is the art of helping other people. The art of just simply putting together resources that people can use. That's what makes a blog tick. If people go to your blog and all they see is be a coach, buy this, buy that, sign up here, they're going to back out of that really quickly, because they just look at it and they go, none of this crap helps me. How does this help me? But if I need help with my 21-day fixed meal plan, and when I click on that website, there's actually something there that I can use, at that point, this becomes valuable, and that's when Google starts to look at it and go, we might want to show this to more people. If they went to the 21-day fixed meal plan and got there, and all there was like some useless text, or something that was maybe keyworded brilliantly, but there was nothing there that actually helped them, or a bait and switch sort of a thing where they came here and were instantly routed to become a coach, and people click right out of that. Google watches all of that stuff and they go, this is just useless crap. We are not going to show that to people because people aren't engaging with the content. If you have engaging content, that's the whole key to this thing. You have to be able to create engaging content that really helps people. It's the easiest way to do it, is just to create engaging content that really helps people. FAQ is a big one as far as what we did. Then asking people. I'll do this periodically. Sometimes I don't have an idea for a blog post. I'll just post on my social media sites like, hey, I want to know what questions you have. How can I help you? What are you confused about? Because I know if you're confused about something, other people are confused about it. And I want to help you unconfuse yourself. And then what do? I can write a blog post about it and then send it to them. Easy. It's really kind of that easy on some level. One of the questions I got was about comments and whether you should have a comment section on your website. I do. I don't get a lot of spam. I get very little spam. I use the comment system I use is called Disqus, I think. Ques, I think. I'll show it to you when we get on. That's not how you spell it, definitely. But it's called Disqus is what it's called, not Disqus. It looks like Disqus when you spell it, but it's called Disqus. And it seems to filter spam just fine. I don't get any spam comments. I also don't get any negative comments. And if I did, I would simply delete them. It's just that easy. And I guess that's kind of a general rule of thumb with all of your social media sites. When I first started filming videos on YouTube or putting out content on social media, I did get negative comments. I think it's the same 15 jackass kids sitting in their parents' basement drinking beer and playing video games and smoking weed who leave these comments, because it didn't take me long to simply block them, delete their comments and block them, and they stopped. And it's been years. I mean, we used to get comments. People would leave, comments. If Monica was on the video, they'd leave really lewd comments about Monica. That stuff has just all stopped. And on some level, I just don't even worry about it. I monitor the comments on all my social media outlets, and I make sure, in particular YouTube, and I make sure that if somebody leaves a nasty comment, I don't approve that comment. I delete it, and I just ban the user, and then they don't leave me nasty comments anymore. It's just kind of that simple. I mean, you've got to have a thick skin if you're going to do that, I guess, is another general comment I would give you. If you're worried about this, you're worried about the wrong thing. You're going to be blogging to satisfy a group of people who don't give a shit about you. Okay? You're blogging to satisfy a group of people who want to see you fail. That is a recipe for disaster here. Okay, you have to just keep in mind that along the way, some people are gonna leave comments that you're not gonna like, and you just delete them and block them. I will show you Disqus when we get there. The store, I will also show you in a moment how to link to the web store. It's really simple. You go, I use Coaching Codes. I know there's another one that's out there now that a lot of people are using. I would be very careful about that, is all I would say, is that I have used Coaching Codes for a long time. I've never had any problems with Coaching Codes. I know Jason, who created Coaching Codes, and I trust Jason, who created Coaching Codes, and so I know there's nothing shady going on there. I would be a little bit concerned about using any other website that is generating links for you, because what if the links that it's generating look great, but in fact lead to somebody else's store? I don't think you want that. Now, I'm not saying people are doing that. That obviously would be really shady, and I think they would get caught really fast, and I think that Beachbody would probably terminate them for doing something like that. Nonetheless, I use Coaching Codes because I know how to use it, and I think it's very easy. And you just go to Coaching Codes, grab your link, and then you insert the link in the blog post, as I will show you momentarily as we dig into my back office. I'll probably have some other comments on this stuff as we go through it, but right now, let's take a look at what the WordPress back office looks like, how we get in there, and how uncomplicated it really actually is, and then also some of the plugins that I use.